And hello, everybody. I know. God, I love doing this. All right. So, hey there, and welcome to another episode of Skip Happens. Of course, I'm your host, Skip Clark. And tonight, we've got a truly special guest. I'm excited to talk with this young lady, Cristina Cash. No stranger to the spotlight, by the way. And her latest single is called Last Call, a powerful anthem about reclaiming your power and breaking free from toxicity. You know what I'm saying? All right, that's all. You know what I mean. From performing on the legendary. All right, you did this when you were 6 years old, Anna. How do you pronounce that?
Sábado Gigante.
Sábado Gigante.
Yes.
Okay.
It means giant Saturday in English.
It's funny. I'm reading this. I had to run upstairs to my wife and go, honey, how do you say this? Of course, I couldn't say toxicity. Forget it. See, I still can't do it tonight.
It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. So you've been performing. Cristina Cash is our guest here tonight, as I just told you. But you started out at a young age of 6 years old, and you also made history at the presidential inauguration, as you were you sang the national anthem and making history because it was more. It was a Latino thing at the inauguration, right?
Yes, it was actually Hispanic Heritage Month in 2006 at the White House. I was invited. That was actually a crazy story. I had performed at the presidential inaugural ball, one of the big balls, I think it was the Constitution Ball in 2005. Oh, wow. And basically I had a tape of me singing a cappella, the Star-Spangled Banner, that somebody got into the governor of Florida's hands, and I was recommended to sing at that ball. And then later, Emilio Estefan, got a phone call saying we need an artist to replace Ricky Martin, who was scheduled to perform at the White House. And at random in 2006, I get a phone call from Gloria Estefan's husband, Emilio Estefan, who I'd worked with in Crescent Moon Studios. Okay. Hey, it looks like Ricky can't do this White House show. Do you think you can sing something with like a guitarist, like for Hispanic Heritage? And I was like, okay. It was like terrifying, but I'm not going to pass it up. So I had the great opportunity to be there, sing at the East Room of the White House. I sang a song called Bésame Mucho, which is a bolero in Spanish. And then I sang At Last by Etta James. They let me sing one in English. And then I sang Contigo en la Distancia, also another bolero in Spanish.
Wow. So, how exciting, though. At the inauguration, no less.
Yes.
And who was, I'm trying to think, who was the president that was going in?
President Bush.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Wow. That's amazing. And that, you started at such a young age, and now, of course, you have the Latino roots, right? The Cuban roots.
Yes. So my parents are from Cuba originally. Okay. They migrated to the United States in the 1960s, to escape Fidel Castro, essentially, in the communist regime. And my family came with nothing. Basically, they just had a suitcase, the clothes on their back. They weren't able to bring their belongings or anything they can pass down, anything of value they were not able to bring. So they had to start pretty much from scratch. And my parents were very young. They were only teenagers. My dad was about 15 years old. My mother about 18, a little bit later. And she had stayed a little longer, but it was my grandparents that had the foresight to be like, let's get out of here. It looks like things are going down. Let's move. Let's go to the US. It's the American dream. And thankfully, because of their sacrifice, I'm able to be here and live my purpose, essentially. So,
I love that.
Very thankful to my grandparents and to my parents for paving the way. And I've gotten to do so much with my life just being here. But I think had I been born in Cuba, what would my life be like right now? And my parents met in the US at a party.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah. Very cool. Now, with the last name Cash, is there any like John and June and?
Yeah. So my husband is a son of John and June.
Really?
Yes, exactly. And then, we've been together 11 years. We married in 2016. We have 2 little children. Oh. And I also have older stepkids as well. But we met in Los Angeles when I was living in Los Angeles, random at a bar, and we just started talking and became friends. And like about 9 months later, he came back to Los Angeles. He was working there or something and asked me out. So it just complete coincidence, which is crazy.
So your grandfather would be Johnny Cash.
Well, my father-in-law.
Father-in-law. That's what I meant.
Father-in-law. But my husband's father is.
How cool is that?
It was Johnny Cash, but he's my father-in-law.
So your father-in-law being Johnny Cash. Damn.
pretty
Wow.
crazy. Yeah, it was his birthday a few days ago, actually,
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah, I saw it in
Yeah.
the show prep that we get in radio.
Yes.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow. Do you do a lot of people actually put all that together and go, "Oh my God, your father-in-law is Johnny Cash"?
It comes up and sometimes it just doesn't. It just depends on like what's going on. Like people definitely when they see the last name, there's a curiosity,
Yeah.
like especially when you show up to the airport with your ID and things like that. So people will ask, "Oh, any relation?" And of course, like, it's something
Yeah,
that my
my
husband's proud of.
father-in-law.
Yeah.
No, nobody big. It's just my father-in-law. No big deal though. I mean, yeah. Did
Yeah.
you ever hear the song Folsom City Prison Blues? Huh? Well, yeah, it's my father-in-law. So how
He's
could
a talented dude.
I love that. I love that. So you got this song coming out, Last Call. Tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about that, Anna.
So last call, it was written between myself and Willie Breeding and Jody Marr. Jody I had known for like 20 years in Miami. She lived in Miami before moving to Nashville. She moved to Nashville about 10 years ago, around the same time I did. And Willie Breeding is the co-producer of the whole record I'm doing with John Carter, my husband. So it's John Carter Cash and Willie Breeding are the producers, but Willie wrote a lot of these songs with me and Jody collaborated on this one in particular. They did. And it's a song definitely about empowerment. It's very driven. I said when I started the project that I wanted beats on the project, a country
Mhm,
pop with
mhm,
beats. And I wanted like a female anthem about empowerment. And that's what it's about. And there are a lot of bar innuendos with Last Call, but there's also like the last phone call from jail, so to speak.
mhm.
And, I decided to do a Spanish version. So Jody Marr and I did the Spanish translation called Tu Última Llamada. So I am now kind of blending something unique, which is like my Latin roots with the country pop. And
Mhm.
it's kind of like a little social experiment and it's been really entertaining.
Oh, I bet. How do you, Anna, how do you balance both your Latin heritage and your country influences in your music? How do you balance all that?
I just, I'm very straightforward. I'm very genuine with what I do. So there's nothing premeditated to me about music. So everything I'm doing really is organic.
Mhm,
So a lot of this instrumentation will be like, okay, this is a country song. It needs pedal steel. It needs fiddle. It needs, the true elements of what a country song is, which is always what drew me to country music, even when I lived in Miami prior. And then, of course, living in Nashville 10 years plus, I'm just so drawn to it. But then also, it's the passion of the Spanish. So we're like, okay, what happens if we add a Spanish guitar and then we have the pedal steel? And we're sort of like really Frankensteining this whole
yeah,
thing. And sometimes it's something as simple as doing lyrics in Spanish to the song that was already country, So
right.
we never know what's going to happen. It's really organic. It's experimental. It feels good. So I just approach it. And that's what I am. It's
Mhm,
like I was
mhm,
born in the U.S.
mhm.
I love country music. I honor my Latin roots, and it's just something that's very authentic to me.
Is there somebody that you look up to when it comes to country?
Yes, I mean the '90s country stars I love so much, like Shania, like Faith,
Yeah.
of course, Loretta Lynn, Dolly Parton, just like these
Oh my
very
God.
powerful women that are not afraid to speak their truth, and they're songwriters.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
love songwriting. It's my favorite part of what I do. I love performing and connecting with the audience, but I love creating something out of nothing. I think that's the coolest process to me, and it never gets old. Like I want to do this for the rest of my life. I love writing songs.
And how do you do that? Because everybody has their own creativity side of things. How do you do it,
Yes.
Susanna?
So oftentimes, if I'm writing something by myself, it starts with the guitar. I like
Mhm.
bare walls. I'm very strange. Sometimes I'll sit on the floor. I sit in odd
Yeah.
places like a beanbag. I don't like a lot of decorations around me. And I don't know if it's because I'm very sensitive to my surroundings, but something kind of like where I am right now, just like white walls, like bare bones with a guitar or a keyboard. And I'll think of a melody or a lyric, or sometimes I'll be driving in the car and my voice memo on my
Oh
phone.
yeah,
It's
that's
like
absolutely.
something will strike out of nowhere, especially when you're doing a very mundane task, like you're about to like get in the shower, you're driving a car, like
Mhm, mhm.
some word, some melody will pop up and trigger me, I feel. And I carry a journal with song titles. I have so
Oh,
many song titles. I try to think of things that are clever or things that people would like. And sometimes, if I'm not organically thinking of a melody or a song lyric, I have all these song titles that I think would fit really well and build a chorus around it first. around the song title, and then I'll do the verses last.
So you're in a room in your home outside of Nashville.
Yes.
Okay. And you said you've been in Nashville for the last 10 years plus.
Yes.
And they say that's a 10-year town. So you do, girl. But there you are. I'm looking at your walls. And if my wife was in that room, she'd be going, we got to do something with these walls.
So that's a bathroom door. This is a toilet behind me. So that's why that's closed.
Oh my God. It's funny that you said that because an artist I had on just the other night, I said, what room are you in? He goes, I'm sitting on the toilet in my bathroom. But you know what I mean? He was sitting there just doing the interview because it was just a private room. Not that he was, but
so
you know what I mean?
just moved, so I don't have many like things on the wall or anything yet, but this is my makeup vanity. I can show you. So I'm basically here where I do my makeup. And behind me is the bathroom. So
hey, that's all good.
It's the most private place I've got right now.
It's all good. So you don't have a studio in the house? Not yet.
Well, so we are going to have like a little personal studio, but we have the Cash Cabin studio in Hendersonville that we can to record. But we're going to build a personal little room like we've always had, even at our house in Hendersonville, where we can record vocals, sort of like, so we don't have to drive all the way over there if it's like a personal project of ours or something we got to do like really quick and there's no engineer around. Like John and I could just get in there and record. So we're in the process of all of that, but it's kind of bare bones right now.
Now, when John records with you, is he singing? Is he laying some vocals down? What is he playing an instrument?
So John, Carter Cash, my husband, he's primarily a producer. He plays rhythm guitar, but he's also a songwriter and singer in his own right. And he's just a very creative man, and he paints and he does all this cool stuff. But usually if he's producing me, let's say it's a session full of musicians, I'll be in the vocal booth. In the kitchen area of the studio, there's the drummer. And then in the main room, you've got the bass player and the guitarist and whomever else. And John will be also kind of tracking rhythm guitar with them sometimes, or he'll choose not to play rhythm guitar. And then there's the engineer in the, with the talkback button.
Right.
John will be on that end. So if he's not like with the musicians playing and kind of producing them there, it's usually through the talkback, with the engineer Trey Call.
Yeah, I'm like kind of like so intimidated here because your father-in-law's Johnny Cash. I mean, I can't shake that. But no, it's, I love country, and excuse me, it's the weather here in upstate New York. It's just, going back to the 90s country, even before that with Johnny, it just, oh my gosh, it's so good.
He's honestly amazing. I was listening to some of his stuff the other day because there's a tribute show that we have to do upcoming in June with his stuff. And really his voice was one in a million. It's incredible.
Yeah. Incredible.
I have a huge amount of respect for what he's done.
100%. Let's talk about your Grand Ole Opry debut. That was a few years ago. I think I have written down it was in 2019.
It was 2019. I can't believe it. Time flies. I couldn't. I think we lost everything in the COVID years. Like once 2020 hit, it's like, it feels like everything was just yesterday, but it wasn't. Like years went by, but we were all home, So it's like, I feel like right after that debut in 2019, like COVID happened, like the next 2 years were shot kind of. So it's, I almost feel like that was yesterday.
Yeah.
The debut, but it wasn't.
I think we all use COVID as like a benchmark now. It's like before COVID or after COVID. And it doesn't matter who I talk to. It always comes up to be that way. It'll be like, well, before COVID, or after COVID. So it's like, it's a benchmark. And, I mean, COVID wasn't easy by any means, but we all learned how to do things a little bit different. And maybe in some instances, a whole lot better. I mean, for example, you and I are talking tonight. I mean, I have a full podcast studio here. Used to bring the artist in and we'd sit down, have beer and pizza, and we'd do a podcast when they came through on the radio tour. I know it's still, and not, it's great to be in the same room. You can feel the body language, you can talk, you can have a lot of fun. But then again, doing it this way with people I may have never have met or seen, now I have that availability as well. So,
the whole Zoom thing and all of this has been great. I agree. And, going back to the Opry debut, I remember I was introduced by Jeannie Seeley, and that was the
Oh,
coolest thing in the world. And we've sort of become friends. We've
oh,
seen each other backstage a few times here and there at the Opry, and she's such a dedicated lady. And I was just so happy that it was her that announced me at my debut, because I have so much respect for her. She has the most appearances at the Opry, I think, than anyone
yeah,
ever.
I believe so. I
So
believe so.
she's pretty incredible. And I sang my song Broken Roses at the time and Tough Love Woman from my 2020 record Shine. And it was an incredible experience. And I've gotten to go back, and it feels, Nashville feels like home. It's been 10 years, 10, 11
Yeah,
years already. So I
really.
just love being here. And just like the artistic community is something I could really feed off of all the time. And it's so collaborative. And that's what I love about Nashville. This is so collaborative. Everyone has an idea to contribute, I
And
feel.
it's not just country. I mean,
No,
it's everything. It's
it's
everything
everything.
now. And to get ideas off other writers or other producers, and it doesn't have to be the genre of country. It could be something else.
Oh yeah, we've got rock here,
Yeah.
pop. There's the whole Christian music world as well. There's country, and Nashville is known for its country, but it really is Music City. They have all kinds of music here. I hear of people doing awesome, innovative things here all the time.
Mhm, mhm. And there's a lot of you. I'm just saying,
Yes,
there's a lot.
a
So,
lot of
but
musicians.
there is, and it's just unbelievable. You have to, if you've never been to Nashville, you got to go at least once. Uh,
I admit, before I moved to Nashville, before I made the big move to Nashville, I wondered if I would be intimidated by how many musicians there were and how many musicians of
sure.
quality and value. And quite the opposite, actually. It's actually so inspiring. You can just walk into any bar and see someone with a huge talent or a venue, and instead of being intimidated, it's done the opposite. It's more encouraging than anything. It makes you kind of keep on your A game.
Right.
And so I was surprised how that turned out for me. I'm more so inspired to be here.
Now, when correct me if I'm wrong, but you weren't married to your husband when you moved to Nashville, correct?
No, we were just dating for like
Okay.
2 months long distance,
Yeah, I
but
was
I had
gonna ask,
always
guess
toyed
what?
around with the idea of coming to Nashville. I visited in 2006 for the first time, 2006, 2007.
Mhm.
And this is a crazy story. So I came with my parents. I was supposed to work with a producer that lived in Hendersonville, Tennessee, where I've lived the last 10 years.
Sure.
And I remember driving through the town, staying in the only hotel that was there at the time in 2006, and being like, "Oh, this little town, I'm not sure I'll ever see this place again." And then like years later I move, and it's like a part of my life, and it's amazing. And then in that same trip, my parents and I visited the Opry. We did the backstage tour at the
Mhm,
Opry,
mhm.
and the tour guide said, "Who would like to step in the circle and like sing a song for us?"
I'd be
Right? Like
like,
for
"Oh,
the
yeah."
for the tour group. I'm like, I was the only person that raised my hand. I sang "You Ain't Woman Enough" by Loretta Lynn.
Wow.
It was 2006 thereabouts. I don't
Yeah.
know where the picture is. I have a picture somewhere. But fast forward later, my husband's working on a record with Loretta Lynn. I get to know her while she's alive. She gives
Mhm.
me life advice. So you can't make this stuff up. It's weird. It's this is that universe
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And it was all at random, complete random.
What was it like? What were you feeling when you stepped into that circle? Were you, and that's one thing, is stepping into the circle on the backstage tour.
Yeah.
But what is it walking out? What's the feeling walking out on that stage for the first time to perform at the Grand Ole Opry? What's that like?
Well, oddly enough, I remembered being a tourist in 2006 when I
Mhm.
got there. I remember being there and being like, I can't believe this happened. Why am I here? I remember being a tourist essentially. So just being there and feeling, you see the seats filled with people and you feel the energy of the crowd and you just want it to be received well. And I was just so excited, honestly. And
Mm.
my parents flew in. My dad's in a wheelchair now, but at the time
Yeah.
he wasn't, and he was able to fly in,
Wow.
and he was healthy and everything. And I have all those pictures, and my sister came in, and I had friends backstage, and people brought me flowers, and it was just the coolest thing in the world. Coolest thing.
Not everybody gets that opportunity.
No, no, I'm so grateful, and so grateful that I've been able to go back from time to time as well.
You know
So
what I
it's
love about you
cool.
as well? You're authentic. You're the real
Thank you.
deal.
Thank you.
With your Latin heritage and now with the country, mixing it all together, you're putting your own sound on it. You've got your own thoughts, you've got your own feelings. And what does being authentic actually mean to you in today's music industry?
Well, it means being unafraid. It means having courage, because a lot of people, especially like on the business side, and they have a formula, they have a certain box they need to fulfill, a certain view of who somebody needs to be in the country world. And I don't necessarily check those boxes. I'll be honest. I don't check those boxes necessarily, because I kind of just do my own thing. And it's just very authentic to me to be experimental and do what I'm doing. And yes, a lot of my music can be deemed as commercial. It is commercial. But at the same time, the experimental thing is not something that, but it's been well received, which is the odd part. I think it's just being true to yourself, essentially.
Yeah,
And being
absolutely.
unafraid.
Yeah. So, how do you stay true to yourself though? Do you have to force yourself once in a while to stay focused, to remember that what you do is what you do and not kind of wander away from that?
Well, I just remember why I do it. If I'm writing a song and I feel something and I feel like other people need to hear it because it'll help them, then that's my purpose. If I can change somebody's day by creating something really joyful and upbeat and uplifting for them, and let them forget about their troubles for a little while, then I've done my job. And
Right.
also, I think after having 2 kids, I'm a little I'm a little less like, I care less and less what people think, I guess. I don't know if that sounds bad or not, but
No,
I
I get
think,
it.
but
I get it.
you just get tired, sort of. It's
Mhm.
like, not that I'm tired of doing my work, but I'm tired kind of, the whole people pleaser aspect really goes along with being an entertainer. I've been performing since I was a child on
Sure.
television. So I have a conditioning to be a people pleaser. But little by little, as life becomes more real and you're in it and you're like wiping diapers, it just,
Yep.
you
Yep.
care less and less about what people think. And that's
Right.
just a
No,
fact.
that's part of being a parent.
It's
I've
part of being a parent. So I think
been
that
there. I'm there now. I mean, it's that way.
so
Tell me a little bit.
that grounded me.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your kids. You say you have two. Is it a boy and a girl? Two girls, two boys?
Yes.
What do you got?
So I've got Grace June. She's 7 years old,
Okay.
and she's a spitfire. She's she's a spicy little girl. She's a comedian. She's fun. She loves music. She wants to do everything. She's taking ballet lessons right now, gymnastics. She wants to be in every single place all the time and try all things and experience life. So she's a very lively little girl. Then I have my toddler, James Christopher Cash. His middle name, actually, he was named after Chris Christopherson.
Really nice.
Yes, with the K, with the
Yeah.
Scandinavian spelling
Yes.
thing for
Yeah.
the middle name. And then James, you know, my husband's grandfather Ezra on the Carter side, his middle name was James. So that's meaningful.
Right.
And of course, Grace, I can explain that name a little bit. Grace, Anna, my name means full of grace.
Mhm.
And then June, of course, is like the obvious because of her grandma June
Yes. Yes.
and everything.
Absolutely.
And James just like picks up every little guitar. He loves music. He has perfect pitch. It's crazy.
It's in his
And
blood.
he, hmm?
It's in his blood.
It's in his
Yeah, I
blood.
think both your kids are gonna be musicians. They're gonna
Yeah.
be after mom
Yes.
and dad.
And right now, like for a while he had trouble sleeping. He was like regressing a little bit with his sleep, and he wants his mama to sleep next to him. But
Mhm.
now we listen to the Calm app, and it's made all of our lives like much better. So the Calm app has saved our household.
Absolutely. The Calm Mat.
The Calm app. Calm app.
App. Oh, the app on the phone.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
got you.
we didn't know how to get him to sleep. And this app, it just puts you to sleep in seconds. Like they have a little kids section, and it had like something about Peppa Pig, but the voices are like so soothing. So like Daddy Pig was talking about making concrete, and it was like, oh, you pour this and you pour the dirt on, and like for an hour. So you just pass out with this stuff.
So
It's
you just play the app in the bedroom or close to the bed.
yes,
Just let it
yes,
play.
yes.
Damn, why didn't they think about that years ago?
Yeah, and they'll just
My
explain
girls are
something-
grown, so
They'll explain something really boring like making concrete for like an hour and say it in a very soothing voice, and it just like knocks you out.
so now we're gonna pour
Crazy.
water into the sand.
Exactly.
And we're gonna mix it up. It'll
Exactly.
get thicker as the more we mix it. Then we will pour it. No, I'm kidding.
That's exactly how that one sounds. And literally I'm like out in seconds.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. So now he
Amazing.
sleeps.
It's amazing. What's next for you?
So I'm waterfalling singles all year. So essentially I have another single coming out
goodness.
in just a little bit. I am identifying these singles and I'm doing translations right now. A lot of them are with my collaborator, Jody Marr. I have a full album recorded. So eventually, hopefully, we're thinking the summer will be the release of the full record. But till then, we are releasing singles constantly. So it's
Mhm.
just Last Call into Ultima Llamada right now, but we have several singles underway. And, just keeping online and just, speaking to fans, I have a television appearance next week and today in Nashville.
Love it. Love Today in Nashville. A lot of my friends have actually been on that. So
Yes, I'm
cool.
performing there next week, so I'm really excited to play live there, and I have a
Nice.
few live showcases in Nashville, and just like we're just keeping the ball rolling and having a great time.
Yeah, when you get out in Nashville to do the showcases, do you end up at, like, for example, at the Bluebird, or where are the
So
showcases?
I do have a showcase, one writers round at the Bluebird in April,
Okay.
but I have another one I believe later on. So it's Bluebird, like Third and Lindsley. It's
Yep.
and
Yep.
I have something at Anzi Blue, I believe, as well
Okay.
coming up. So I have a bunch of different places right now and different things happening. So
Do
really excited.
you get down on Broadway at all, or do you kind of avoid that?
I don't know. I don't avoid it. I think it's really cool. But if I'm performing, then it's great. But I think it gets pretty crowded.
That's
Again,
why I'm asking.
I'm a homebody. I just hang out with
Yeah.
kids unless I'm working, pretty much.
No, no, I get
Um,
it. Yeah.
but if I have to go to Bridgestone Arena for something, or we have to go to the Country Music Hall of Fame, we're there anyway. So I do
Mhm.
get out there a lot. But
Cool.
it's not like I'm out there honky tonking all night.
Do you realize that last Wednesday, we probably walked right by each other and had no clue because it
Probably. I
was the
mean,
country radio seminar. You said you were there on Wednesday. I got
I
in.
was there Thursday too. I went
Yeah,
Thursday for a little bit, so I was Wednesday and Thursday. So I'm
yeah,
sure we ran into each other, had
probably.
no clue.
You got on the elevator, I got off the elevator.
Yeah, exactly. Two ships in the night.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was good that you had that opportunity. Was that the first time you've done CRS?
So I did it once in 2017 when I
Okay.
had an EP before my album release in
Mhm.
2020. So I had a little 6-song EP. Went in 2017. Years later, I go back in 2020, and this is the first time I've been back since 2020.
Mhm. Did you see anything that really excited you at CRS?
I saw,
I'm just
yes,
curious.
I saw the Amazon showcase, and that was really
Yes.
cool. That was really cool. All the artists did really well in that, but that's the only showcase I got to see. I know
Wow.
different labels had showcases, and
Yeah.
I didn't get to see those, but I'm sure that they were spectacular. Because
Mm.
like what really drives me is the live performance aspect, and of course I
Exactly.
enjoy speaking with the media and folks like yourself like a lot, but of course I love seeing what other artists are doing and what their inspiration is. So that was
Yeah,
cool to hear that.
I was gonna ask you about the other artists, because if you go to a show like the Amazon showcase that they had there, or if there's a showcase anywhere, what do you watch for in another artist? Is it how they handle themselves on stage, microphone technique, or what is it that you as an artist is watching, or are you just listening?
Yeah, so more so for me, it's confidence, it's conviction, it's great songs. I think it all starts with a song. So for me, it's like a catchy song that means something, that's driving or makes you feel something. So I think there's a lot of success there in that showcase that I went to. Like they were great.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if I go to a show, I guess I'm a geek. Well, I know I'm a geek. So I'm watching everything that's going on around the stage. I'm watching the lights. I'm watching whatever is happening in the production side of things.
I watch to see how people are reacting to it, and it's different because it's not just a regular audience. These are country radio people. These are executives. These are people in the industry.
Sure.
Kind of, so it's a different beast than like the regular
Good
bar that
point.
you walk
Yeah.
into. So a lot of people, I wouldn't use the word jaded, but they're used to being entertained all the time. This is their job. Entertainment is their job. So it's kind of like a tougher crowd in many ways.
Yeah, it must be nervous for an artist to get up there and say, okay, these are people that matter. And
Yeah,
or
these are
I
people
got to
that can
kick
get my
ass
song
on
on
the
radio.
stage.
They could
Yeah.
they could put me on the playlist for the radio station or not, depending on how well I do. So I imagine that's very nerve-wracking.
And I think you as an artist would watch how these people react. Like if they're getting really excited over a certain artist for whatever reason, it'd be like,
Yeah,
what is she doing that or he doing that's really it's got all these people like going crazy over here. So
yeah.
that, yeah, I get where you're coming from. Yeah, totally.
It's
Totally.
cool. It's cool. And you never know. Honestly, it's just like it's coming across really well. It's being authentic. It's being likable. So there's so many other things other than great songs, but the great songs are so important. I think it's so important to have great songs.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to somebody that wants to do what you're doing? A young woman wants to get out there. We
Well,
need more females. So
yes, I agree with you. I would say you got to stick to your guns. A lot of people get disheartened with criticism, and at the same, you have to listen to constructive criticism because can't put the blinders on and shut it all off either. I think it's important to take what you need from constructive criticism, but of course there will always be people that have a lot of opinions about the way you should be doing things
mhm.
or not doing things, and you're never going to make everyone happy. So that's what I would tell them. Just you got to be true to yourself, the people that love you, do something that is authentic to you, something that makes you feel like you have a purpose and you can't go wrong. I think when there are too many cooks in the kitchen and too many opinions, it gets very frustrating for artists, and then they lose sight of themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Criticism is good. You can learn so
Oh
much
yeah.
from what other people say. They could tell you, dude, you suck. Well, why do I suck? But
Yeah,
you got
you
to
have
learn
to
how to say, okay, what can I do to change that?
you have to be receptive to that too, because
Yeah,
if there's something you can improve on or do better, that's your audience as
exactly.
well. So, if they're tastefully in a nice way telling you how you can improve, or how something can be better, you got to listen. I think it's important to listen to your audience
Yeah.
also.
Absolutely, 100%. Now I'm going to change the subject here a little bit because you are a Cash now. You've married into the family. I know I'm
Yes.
dwelling on this, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
but Johnny Cash being your father-in-law, uh,
Yeah.
and being a mom, being
Yep.
married, got the two little kids. Are there any recipes that maybe that Johnny and June that been carried down from, you know?
Yes. Yes. So around every Christmas time, I make Grandma Carrie's banana bread. So
Oh,
it's a really cool banana bread made with orange marmalade, which I thought was interesting. So that's
yeah.
in Mama Carrie's cookbook. So that's Johnny's mother's cookbook.
Okay.
So so it's not his cookbook necessarily, nor is it June's, but there is a Carter. There's a Carter Cash cookbook that my husband
Mhm.
was the writer on. Also, that's amazing.
Very cool.
And he has something in there called stuff, which is a
Stuff.
bunch of things that you find, like canned items, like things that are left over that you just like make into this thing called stuff that his mother used to make.
Okay.
And also, his father made chili, really good chili. So there's a chili recipe in that. But like, I personally always make the Grandma Carrie banana bread.
I love it.
So yeah, and it's cool. I love the fact that I get to put orange marmalade in there. I think
I'm a
it's
fan of banana bread anyways.
yeah.
Just, that and date nut bread. I don't know if you've ever.
Oh no, I've always done like zucchini bread or banana
It's
bread.
good.
Banana
Yeah.
bread I've tried.
Yeah. My mom's thing was like date nut bread for the holidays, Thanksgiving,
Ooh,
Christmas, and all that. But it was very good. A lot of people go, "Oh my god, that's gross." No, it's not.
is
It's
it?
good. Some cream
Does
cheese.
that taste sort of like an Italian, like panettone
A little
kind of?
bit. Yeah. Yeah. A little
Okay.
bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting. Do you have a favorite meal that you cook for your husband?
You know, yes.
I
So
warned you. I warned you about these questions. I'm just saying that everyone. I take a left and go down a road. So.
we are pasta people. We love our carbs in this household. So
Uh,
I make a really good cacio e pepe, which is like the very cheesy kind of like with the coarse cracked pepper, so to speak. And I do a grilled whole chicken with paprika and like apples like every
mm,
week.
oh,
Also, like I just stick it in the oven. Sometimes I'll do a 10-hour chicken. Sometimes I'll slow cook it on 200 for like 10 hours, and then I'll
10
bump it
hours.
up. 10 hours. Yeah.
10
So it'll
hours.
slow cook. I'll put it in at 8 in the morning. That's like ready, like
Oh
six
my
or seven.
God, your house has got to smell so good.
It smells so good. And like, but sometimes if I don't want to do that, I'll start it like at 3 o'clock at 3:50, and it's not the same thing as cooking it for 10
Right.
hours. But
Different
like,
simmer all
if I
day.
have the time in the morning and I'm not like running to take kids to school, or if I wake up extra early, sometimes the night before I will soak it in buttermilk and I'll put it in a Ziploc bag. And so it kind of like, brines with the buttermilk and maple syrup and salt and cracked pepper.
Okay, what
So,
time is dinner on Sunday? I'll be there.
so yeah, so I'd say like when I do the buttermilk situation with the 10 hours, it's really good, that chicken.
Anna, it sounds great. Sounds really good.
Thanks.
Absolutely love this. B- Besides being a musician and a singer, songwriter, and everything that you do you have another gig? Do you have something to back up what you do? Something to fall back on?
Yes, so I love writing. In fact, I
Yeah.
now that we mentioned cooking, I love cooking. I'm really interested in writing a cookbook actually and
Oh,
mixing
you
kind of
should.
like Latin recipes as well as my like country more southern recipes as well. So
Mhm,
I'm really working on creating recipes and perfecting them. And
mhm.
also I a few years ago I graduated with a creative writing master's
Oh, wow. Okay.
from Harvard University, and there with my thesis, I did a fiction novel, like that is
Wow.
half finished. So I was really interested. I'm like, I'm going to take a break from songwriting for a while. So I started getting into young adults fiction and like sci-fi, totally different. So I have like a whole career that is separate from that. And before that, like my degree was in journalism for my
Gotcha.
bachelor.
Gotcha.
So I've got kind of like it's all in like the language arts, I would say.
Yeah. But I mean, it kind of helps benefits each other. Everything
Yeah.
from being,
I always create projects. I love being innovative. I'm always
yeah,
thinking of different ideas. Like there are definitely a lot of things that I have on the table that are not out yet, and like different ideas that I
yeah.
want to put out there.
Any of the songs that you've written, true life experiences or anything like that?
Most definitely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. Like a song. I only released this last call one from this new batch of songs, but on my last record, there's a song called Tug of War. And it was this woman that was like trying to flirt with John at the time when we were dating. We weren't married yet.
Uh-oh.
And I was just like really just ticked off by this lady. You know what I mean? Because I saw what she was doing. So I wrote that song kind of about that situation. you
Well,
know?
it happens. It's
It
true life.
happens.
It's real
I was
life.
like, so I got really all territorial, and then out of nowhere, I wrote that song by myself. I had no co-writers because I was in the moment.
Exactly.
I had these feelings, and I probably exaggerated it more than what it was. You know what I mean? The situation, but you world build in your head, and I'm a writer. I observe people. I kind of elaborate. I create things that aren't there. But a lot of it is based on feelings. So, and there's so much more than that. A lot of this new record, there are things that have happened in my life. Like I wrote one
Mhm.
song, and I can't say the title yet because I haven't released it, but I wrote a
Okay.
song about a friend of mine that's a childhood friend. And she wrote me in 2021. And out of nowhere, she pulled herself off of her socials, and she's nowhere to be found. I don't know if she's like in the witness protection
Oh
program or
my
what.
gosh.
But so that also was like a floodgate of
Yeah.
stuff where the song just finished itself. So it was just going, you know, talking about childhood and having a trusted friend and, kind of going through life. And like, I knew she got a divorce, and it's like, it's a lot about how someone as a child, and then you see the progression of life, how it becomes more and more difficult for them, and
Yeah.
how they've kind of survived that or
Yes.
not. So
Mhm.
it was a very, important song for sure. And I wrote a song about my father being in a wheelchair as well.
Oh wow. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So if your husband was to listen to the music, I would assume he'd kind of get an idea what your mood was.
100%. But of course, I am Latin, so I am pretty spicy sometimes. So like my feelings are made known pretty often.
I love it. I love you. We have a lot of Latino baseball players,
Yeah.
and do you watch baseball and like
So
that?
baseball was like my dad and my uncle's life as a kid, like as kids in Cuba. So my grandfather, this is the grandfather I didn't meet. I had my maternal grandfather that was alive till I was 15. And
Mhm.
then my paternal grandfather was a mini league coach, baseball
Oh
coach
wow.
in
Oh, wow.
Cuba. So, he trained my dad and my uncle, and he made sure they had baseball training. And baseball is a huge part of Cuban culture, even to this day.
Yeah, I know.
And so my dad never had boys, right? I'm the third daughter. So my
Wow.
dad used to take me out into the backyard to bat and to pitch. So I'm left-handed also. So I'm a left-handed batter and a left-handed pitcher. So
Did you play softball at all or anything like that?
I really wanted to play softball so bad, but my mom was phobic that the ball would hit my throat and that I wouldn't be
Oh,
able to sing,
yeah.
which is kind of the craziest thing. I
Well, you
also
never
play
know.
the drums. We're all raised differently, and everyone has their idea of how to protect their child. And for some reason, my mom was very afraid. I had a passion for softball, actually.
Very cool. The reason I asked about the baseball and Latino players is
Yeah.
we I work it for the Mets,
Oh,
here
you are?
in upstate New York. Syracuse is their AAA affiliate, which is one level below the majors. The players kind of go up and down throughout the season. I'm one of the PA announcers, but for years, well, now this is the podcast studio, but where I am now, at this point in my home, we housed baseball players. We had
Really?
several Washington Nationals players stay with us and their families.
Oh,
So,
wow. That's so nice. I
and
love that.
they were Latin, they were Latino, they were from Colombia, Venezuela,
Amazing.
they were from Cuba,
Yep.
Yadiel Hernandez. It just just to get to know them, their personalities, learn the culture. The food. Are you kidding me? It was
This food is amazing.
phenomenal. It's just like they take over my wife's kitchen. It's
Yeah.
and just-
Speaking of like being from Miami, other than my Cuban culture, I have so many friends from Venezuela, from Colombia,
Yeah.
from Argentina, and Peru, and they bring all of this food because like I'm a foodie, my husband's a foodie. They bring all
Yeah.
this stuff to Miami, and it's just added to the Miami being a melting pot that it is right now. And I got to grow up with so many friends from all over South America, but they, of course, were growing up in the US, so everyone was bilingual. It was just like a really cool way to grow up. So that's really cool that you told me
Yeah.
your experience with that because I bet it was a
Loved it.
blast.
It was a blast. There were moments where, let's see here. I remember one year they had an off day. They were still in town, but they had an off day. I came home from the radio station and there were cars on both sides of my street. Right. I'm going, whoa,
Okay.
somebody's having a party. I pull in my driveway, couldn't find out it was my house.
Oh.
So they had invited all the players, all the Latino players over. They had my fire pit roaring in the back.
Oh, okay.
They maybe you know something about this, but they were making soup and it was on an open fire and it was just a huge container. There were large pieces of beef, there was chicken, there was corn on the cob, there were potatoes, there was everything, and they were stirring it. And I forgot what they called it. They said, "You got to try this, you're gonna love it," and I'll
Oh
tell you,
man.
best soup I ever had. It was
Oh my gosh. See, I've never witnessed that kind of soup making with like
oh
I
yeah.
don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder from what country that was from. That's very interesting. That's
It was
cool.
very interesting. And then after dark, they'd stay out in the backyard and play dominoes.
Oh, yeah, Domino's is huge
Yeah.
in my culture. Huge. Like my dad still to this day like plays dominoes with me when I go to visit Miami all the time. So it's
Yep.
like huge. In 8th Street, which they call like Calle Ocho, Little Havana, there's a domino park and you have to have legacy there. You can't just like buy your way into one of these domino tables. So these little old men that have
Oh,
been there
wow.
forever, it's like their domino table. And you can like get something around it, but it's not like your table, so it's
Right, right.
certain people have these booked for like years and it's legacy and it gets passed down, these domino tables at Domino Park. So it's like a real serious thing over there.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
And
cool.
then
Yeah,
they
I'm like,
smoke cigars over there while they play the dominoes. And
yeah, the ball players were smoking cigars, but shh.
I'm not a smoker, I'm a singer.
No, no, I know, but it was funny. These, they're all athletic but yet, when you see this other side, they're only human too.
They're only human.
Exactly. They were good people. So we've got your music coming out. You're going to continue to drop singles throughout the year.
Yes.
Very excited about that. I love
Me
the
too, I'm so
crossover
excited.
between country and the Latin, bringing it all together. That's so cool. If somebody wants to find out more about you, where can they go to get that info?
They can go to my website, annachristinacash.com, and also Anna Cristina Cash is in all my socials. It's on my TikTok, Instagram. I'm probably most active, to be honest, on Instagram and TikTok
Okay.
these days, as well as X and everywhere where there's a social platform.
You do
Except
it all yourself?
I forgot my, well, I do it myself, but I do have a PR that helps me with like suggestions of content.
Yeah.
And I'll like film all the stuff and, with Trey, my assistant, but I'm not good at putting together the reels. Like the folks at the PR will help me put together the reels.
yeah.
It's all my
Yeah.
content. But
That's awesome.
I'm not very tech savvy when it comes to that.
Just jump online, go to Google, do the search, and
Yeah.
and come
Yeah.
up. That's so cool. I love this, and I love chatting with you tonight. I do apologize. I've been kind of all over the place, more so than usual, but yeah, I just love talking to the artist, the independent artist. You got a passion and a dedication, and you know what you want, and you're going to do whatever you can do to to make it happen.
I'm having a lot of fun. Honestly, that's what it's about. Like for me, this whole era of my life is having fun and putting out art. Really, all I want to do is put out art. So I'm
That's
just
what you're doing.
excited to be doing what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't get to see you. Had no idea where you were.
Sorry. I'm sure, like you said, I'm sure we cross paths at some point. But
Could be. Could have been. I was sitting in front. I'm trying to think. I was at the fireplace in the lobby there. I don't know. Did you know where the fireplace is in the Omni?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That little cutout.
I was there too, like in the whole lobby area. I was up and down. Like I passed by Bob's Steakhouse, by Bar Lines, all of that too.
Well, I own a bar. I own one of those bar stools in Bar Lines now.
Do you?
I think I do. I don't know. They did pretty well. Let me just put it that way. They did. Anna, it's been great chatting with you tonight. This is so
wonderful chatting with you. Thanks for being real with me. Thank you for the cool questions, and thank you for the interview.
Being real, that's what it's all about. We need to be real. You know what I mean? It's just be who you are. You're being who you are. I'm being who I am, and here we are. So
here we are.
And hopefully you and your fans and viewers and listeners will subscribe to Skip Happens, and you have a YouTube page as well, so they can subscribe to your page and just kind of follow both of us no matter where.
All of my handles are Anna Cristina Cash.
There you go. I love it. You're great. Stay right there. I'm going to talk to you in a minute, but I do want to say thank you for watching, everybody. It's been another edition of Skip Happens. Anna Cristina Cash.
Thanks for watching.
Just remember the name Cash. It's her father-in-law. Never mind. I'll just go. All right, I'll go. I'll leave you alone.